Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, we are going to talk about a subject matter that deals with crime of passion. And these are the ones who have these people, to be more specific, these are the ones who have the mindset that if I can't have you, no one else will. Okay? I mean, you're going to talk about moving somewhere, you're going to talk about breaking up, you're going to talk about taking my grandkids. I mean, you want to talk about just picking up and going off and being with somebody else? Oh no, oh no. If I can't have you, nobody else will. And some of us, we heard this, okay? We heard this whether the person boldly said it like that or whether the person was covert about it. And I will tell you that relatives who know better, they will be covert about some things. They will attempt to control you, persuade you, use tricks and treats to get you to stay wherever they want you to stay. You got the controlling mother. Come on. And I talked about her, many hers, over here on Tell Me Mother You're Sorry on the Barnes & Noble site. And I get into quite a few manipulative tactics that mothers do. Wait a minute, you're talking about going where? With who? When? Honey, you don't know. You don't know, evidently, how I roll. You gonna stay right here. Excuse me? This is my life. I don't care whose life it is, but at the end of the day, this is what I want. Now, when somebody's talking crazy like that, common sense would be what? I got to get away. Unfortunately, some folks were unable to get away in time. Okay? Some folks were unable to get away in time. I feel so moved to enlighten some folks on this subject matter today, dealing with crime of passion, because there's a buildup with some folk. There's a buildup in terms of your passion for your son, for your daughter, for your husband, for your ex, whoever, that is turning into something ungodly, demonic, dark. And if we could go inside that individual or individual's mind, we would be terrified. You are thinking about doing what? Well, if I can't have my way and she don't want to let me have my way, then I gotta do something. Oh my God. You see, this is a channel that exposes, okay? Exposes some things that's on the surface as well as some things that are down, dirty, and dark. So somebody is going to feel some kind of way after listening to this message, if they can make it to the end, because they know who's around them. Others know what they've been thinking. I need a message today, Nicole, because I'm about to do something crazy. Well, this is that message. I don't want people to do something crazy. I don't want people to be led by their passion that eventually leads them into committing a crime. The most unlikeliest people that have these thoughts, a lot of times these things happen because of thoughts. They keep showing up. They keep showing up. A lot of them who have these thoughts, they don't tell anyone. Or they may give you just enough information and then you dismiss it. Oh, he's just talking. Oh, no, it's not that serious. If there is almost a hatred going on between, let's say, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, if there is just constant negativity, friction around them, and that mother keeps talking about her lovely son and how close we are, and I've been there for him since day one, and nobody's gonna take me from my baby. Excuse me, but wife, you better be watching your back. Uh-oh. You better be watching your back, because you see, we sometimes have this attitude where, you know, I know she's saying something that is oh, just a little off-putting, but it's no big deal. I'll just pray about it. You see, God, He will shine a light on what people say. That statement that they make that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And that's when you're supposed to be guarded. This business of not judging, are you kidding me? I told a woman not that long ago, I said, this is your life. Because she's talking about, I don't judge. This is your life. You're bringing somebody into your life. I'm going to judge. This is where we're going to be in disagreement. We got people out here that, as one person told me, aren't wrapped too tight. So why in the world am I going to dismiss even what sounds like friendly talk, no big deal talk? No, I got a little file folder, if you will, in my mind with some names of various things that people said that made my eyebrow raise and the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And so when it goes down, whatever it is that they planning on, or whatever it is that the demonic got them thinking, there's going to be a list of names being interviewed. You see, some of you all, you need to use your YouTube blocks, that button, if you will, where somebody's saying something out of line and you block them, because there are those blocks on names that if somebody does try something, when they do a little investigation, they're going to be able to find out who did, possibly why they did, and anything else. You see, a person who is hell-bent on destroying a marriage, for instance, is not going to stop. It starts off with the silly little statements that they make at the various family gatherings. Then it's them imposing their will upon you or various members of your family. Then, of course, you hear all sorts of information through the grapevine about what they said about you. Then there's the jokes, right? And some other things that they'll say to your face. And then, of course, there are just behaviors that cause you to question, am I even safe being in this person's presence? I could tell you there was a few family members that I watched growing up, and I said, you can't pay me to sit in the same room with them. Oh, I would never hurt your mama. I'd never hurt your dad. I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that, because you right now, the way you carrying yourself, matter of fact, repeatedly, how you've carried yourself, I have reason to believe that you would. And if you can't get to them, you might get to me and want to hurt me. You see, that's how I think with some violent type of folks, those ones that their tempers, they can't seem to control them. They're out there in left field somewhere. If they beat on their woman, what makes you think they're not going to eventually try to beat on you? If they got a history of bringing out the gun when some folks get disrespectful and foul, what makes you think that they're not going to one day bring the gun out on you? So going to this legal dictionary, crime of passion, the term crime of passion refers to a criminal act that a person commits out of heartbreak or anger. Now let's stay right there for a moment. Heartbreak or anger. So I'm angry about something, or I'm heartbroken that somebody did me wrong. And so therefore I'm going to go and just do something that's despicable. That's a crime of passion, okay? For example, a crime of passion would be if a person shot his ex-wife in a jealous rage because he caught her cheating on him with another man. This is the most common example of a crime of passion because the defense argues that the shooter did not have time to cool off before firing the gun. So we've got family members, we've got friends who, if you don't give them time to cool off and they got something in their hand that could be used as a weapon, you gonna catch it. Okay? I watched a relative throw things, snatch up things, hit people upside the head with things. Another relative jumping up in folks' faces, looking real crazy, hoping and wishing that nothing jumped off. Another relative who, no, I'm not going to hold back, knucking with the brother. Another relative knucking with the cousin. Okay? If they would have had guns in those instances, and mind you, I'm a child watching this sort of thing play out, somebody would have been shot. Others, they had guns, but the guns were far enough away where they were too caught up in their emotional turmoil of yelling and somebody telling them to calm down that they didn't bother to go get any guns. They had enough sense to cool off. It's not that serious, you see. But when a person has had enough of something, when a person feels like they're being robbed of someone or something, and they don't allow themselves to process, or maybe they don't have the mental capacity to process, that's when all hell breaks loose. So to explore this concept, consider the following crime of passion definition. A defense used by an individual who committed a crime as the direct result of an event triggering heartbreak or rage. Now, we all know that we are not responsible for people's personal issues, okay, with what we do, what we say, or what have you. But you got some folks that they want to blame, they want to shame, they want to deny, they want to come up with all sorts of things to get the heat off of them. I would have never done this. I would have never said this if you hadn't, if she hadn't, if he hadn't. And they try to build a case around that foolishness. At the end of the day, if you can't exhibit self-control, the buck is going to fall on you. Either way, it don't matter if the wife was nagging you about something or the husband was jumping up in your face, threatening to hurt you. If you don't do this, if you don't tell those kids to stay here in this town, if you don't tell your mama and your daddy A, B, and C. I mean, you know, so at the end of the day, you got to make the decision whether or not you're going to do the right thing or the wrong thing. You don't wait till you're in stress and emotional turmoil and you're having post-traumatic stress syndrome from some other, to try to calm yourself down. You don't do that. You've got to calm yourself down as soon as you hear something that hurts you, something that just makes you say, how could she? How could he? If I had been led by my rage over a situation that had happened to me years ago, the man wouldn't have been walking this planet. But I had enough sense to fall back. I was already in the fight, but I had enough sense to pull back and say, wait a minute, this has gotten out of control. Okay? But after an event plays out, woo, Lord, some of you all know what I'm talking about. Those thoughts, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Man, oh, if I see him. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, you know what? I could get so-and-so to do something. You see, all of that right there, that's where you end up falling prey to the enemy's schemes. What is a crime of passion? A crime of passion is a crime committed by someone so quickly that he doesn't have time to cool down and stop himself. That's why you get some people that say, stop, be quiet, calm down. Get over there. Move away from that. Don't even act like you're going to do something. It's not worth it. They do that because they see you're about to go off the deep end. You're about to do something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. You might be okay and all right for that moment that you did it, but then after that, it's like, I can't believe it. I let this person get the best of me. Exactly. That's why we don't want people to get the best of us. You see, just imagine the civil rights movement going back in time, and you're out there protesting with Martin Luther King and some others, and somebody on the side spits on you, and then somebody else on the other side takes a bottle and throws it at you, and then somebody else is calling you all these names. You know, some folks wouldn't have lasted in any civil rights movement protests. They would have jumped out the line and beat everybody up that they could possibly beat up on the side. You see? Reactionary. They're not going to cool down. Nope. No, I'm going to do this. I got to. Are you sure? So these are things that we think about. Why? Because God puts it on our hearts to think about this sort of thing. Because just as we're judging some folks that just grab up a knife and stab somebody, or grab up a gun and shoot everybody in the household, or grab a child and throw them over a balcony, that could one day be any one of us. Not that we want that, and I plead the blood of Jesus, right? I hear somebody saying right now, I don't claim that. No, I don't claim a lot of things either, and I'm not going to claim that. But weird things happen in a society where you got all sorts of people doing all sorts of things to mess with people's minds. When you got all sorts of chemicals in foods, and what you thought you would never do, suddenly you're doing. Some folks, they got a problem with simply controlling their tongue. And so you say the wrong thing and somebody keeps thinking and keeps thinking about it and keeps thinking about it, and then the next thing you know, they want to go ahead on and do something about it. You see, we're talking about in the heat of battle when things go down. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. No, you meant it. Oh, yes, you meant it. No, but look, let me explain. No, there's no explaining. Can you please put that away? I'm not putting nothing away because you, and they're going off the deep end. They're going off the deep end. And at that point, this is where I got to take you to scripture. Psalm 91. I wondered why an evangelist many years ago when I was about 19 gave me this scripture. And I talk about Psalm 91 on this channel. So for in-depth study, you can check out one of the audios about that by searching within my channel. But Psalm 91, listen to this. And then think about all of this stuff that we done seen in the media related to crimes of passion. People who did not have a chance to cool down and taking people out of here. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. During times where you are being tested, times where somebody done pull something out on you, times when somebody are running up against you over any number of things, whether verbally or physically, all you have to do is just simply put your trust in God, because that may be the time that, unfortunately, yes, God says it's over. Curtains closed. Okay? Every believer who is outspoken, every believer who's trying to win souls to Christ, we already know. We already know. They took Jesus out. Eventually, something's going to take us out, right? Whether it's someone or something. And so when you look in death in the face, in your mind, you're thinking, that's all right, I got God. He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Some of those people who were gunned down because somebody didn't cool down, they probably were thinking about, oh, well, it's time now. God, my life is in your hands. There are those that made it. The gun didn't go off. The knife ended up being turned against the perpetrator. You see, somebody showed up and snatched somebody off of somebody before they could do something. Thank you, Lord Jesus. I guess it wasn't my time. You see, surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. Now this right here, I'll hold on to this, because when you see all this death in media, and when you hear about death around you, I say to the Lord, I say, Lord, you did tell me 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. And this sort of thing has played out time and time again. See, we look at the sentimental side of death. We go, oh my goodness, this is terrible. You know, I can't believe that this happened. But then there's that side that God tells us that not everybody that ended up in their graves was innocent. The Lord, as hurtful as it is, but the Lord says, what? You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. Death was a punishment for some folks, while some people are saying, well, she's better in the lights, or he's a great person or great soul, or no, God knows that. It doesn't matter how much money they gave away, or how sweet or nice they looked, or what they said to this one and that one that encouraged them. There are those people who got their share of issues right now with the one true God, and God is allowing certain things to happen. And the types of things he's allowing to happen, sometimes we just can't wrap our heads around. He said, you will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Somebody suspects that there is a person who has these intense thoughts about you, your family, your connections, and the type of thoughts that have been leaked out have not been flattering, have not been uplifting. If anything, it sounds evil, jealous, mean-spirited. Would this person one day react? Would this person end up being someone who commits a crime of passion? Let's take a look at the difference between a crime of passion and premeditated crime. In Texas, there exists a clear difference between a crime of passion and premeditated crime. Texas murder statute defines a crime of passion as passion directly caused by and arising out of provocation by the individual killed or another acting with the person killed, which passion arises at the time of the offense and is not solely the result of former provocation. In other words, if a man comes home to discover his wife cheating on him with another man and he then shoots and kills them both, his actions will qualify as a crime of passion under Texas law. The main difference between a crime of passion and premeditated crime is that the crime must be directly related to and immediately follow the event that triggered the offender into committing the crime. Using the above example of a crime of passion, if the man thought about killing his wife for a week after the incident, then killed her, this does not meet the crime of passion meaning. meaning he has plenty of time to cool off and instead premeditated the crime by planning it for an entire week prior to her murder. That's why people, investigators more specifically, as well as lawyers, are going to look for information that shows that this person was thinking about, had been planning to do A, B, and C, okay, before they actually did it. But then there are those who, there was no evidence in the household. There was no conversation. There was nothing more than somebody just blowing some steam one day, and then they went on about their business. But then they came back, and when they came back, they went on and did something, okay? Something that was so horrific and so just evil, all right? Because she said this, or because he did that, or because I was triggered in some way, and that's why I went on and did it. But murder's murder. At the end of the day, our God, he's not going through all of the fine details. I mean, the commandment says thou shalt not kill, right? And when one does kill, there is consequences. So it hurts to know that some people, they were defending themselves, simply defending themselves from somebody who may have been like this, right? Had a crime of passion or attempted a crime of passion, and they ended up killing them before, they were killed. But there's still consequences. That's why if you suspect that somebody has this evil about them, this jealousy, this rage, maybe it's the mother-in-law who always giving you the look, or maybe it's somebody that's always in your ear triggering you to get angry so that you'll be the one to get your hands dirty. Wait a minute, I got to get away from these people, because all they're doing is putting some thoughts in my head that I don't want to have. I'm not that angry with so-and-so like that person is. I'm not that caught up in what they said or what they did enough to want to take them out of here. But we got some people who, they just cannot stand the fact that some folks live their lives, or want to live their lives, or want to get away from them. Okay? They hate that. Because for years, there was control, there was power, and now you got the nerve to want to go somewhere. If I can't have you, nobody else will. You see? And that type of mentality is what ends up putting people in their graves. Because a person cannot control themselves. Here are some more examples. Examples of crime of passion are everywhere. Individuals make decisions either based on reason or emotions. When emotions take over, individuals may act on impulse and ignore the rational voice in their head. So, come on now. We got some folks who you know that they got plenty of sense. Considered to be the most smartest, most intelligent in the family. Don't tell me that they didn't have a rational voice in their head, something, a sign, a wonder that said, listen, you don't want to do this, okay? Before I got into that last fight with the individual who abused me, I will tell you that there was a rational voice in my head that told me not to do something. And I was like, nah, but I'm gonna get him before he get me. You see what I mean? When you're level-headed and you know that you're supposed to remove yourself from a situation, and you choose to ignore the voice that is telling you, get away, get away, get away. And that voice may have been talking to you for days leading up to what happened. Now, I'm talking about a rational voice, not some crazy making voice, not some dark demonic voice, not something that tells you to kill somebody, steal from them, or destroy them. I'm talking about just that simple voice that tells you, or that feeling. Some people say the gut feeling, or they'll say the man upstairs, or they'll say God, or it sound like my mother's voice, or whatever. The point is that That voice is telling you to leave the scene, to stop thinking about what you plan on doing, how you plan on taking that person out and all that. That voice is there to protect you, to keep you out of trouble. Some folks don't care. They ignore that voice. And so there's a consequence for that. Okay, there's a consequence for it. I know some people bother us. I know some people just got a lot of evil about them. I know that sometimes there are those moments where we say, I just wish this person would just leave. I wish this person would go away. Some folks will even think crazy and be like, I just wish that somebody would take this person out, or that they would just fall over dead. But the key is keep your hands clean. Stay out of it. Wanting to be the one to get your hands dirty to take somebody out. Stay out of it. It's not worth it. Time and time again, we got people that's in prisons right now that will tell you, look, those few minutes of satisfaction wasn't worth spending how many years now in jail? Come on now. Hey, Miss somebody needs to hear this message. You see, individuals tend to feel the strongest emotions for their friends and loved ones. This is why crimes of passion examples are so common. The strongest emotions for your family members and for your friends. I never thought in 1,000 years I would have ever done that. I never thought in 1,000 years I would have ever said that. But just something came over me. I don't know what it was. I was under so much pressure. I had other relatives telling me all these different things about this one right here. And then the day that he said what he did, that's when you see? There's plenty of people in jail with those stories. There are several reasons why crimes of passion are prevalent as being rooted in emotions like fear, revenge, anger, and jealousy. Pay attention to these people who are always worried about something, okay? People who are plotting revenge, says something about, I'm going to get her back, I'm going to pay her back. Pay close attention. Warn somebody. Tell him, I just want to let you know he said some disturbing things. I know that we're not close, but I don't want no blood on my hands. Let me tell you, you need to pack up your bags, get them kids out of there, and don't tell nobody where you're going. Because my brother, my cousin, my uncle, somebody crazy. You see, my jealous sister or my jealous brother, every time I turn around, he bringing your name up. And at first, I went along with some of the crazy stuff he was saying. But now, I'm not going along with that stuff. That fool, he got a track record. Or she been over here talking about some stuff. Girl, got my head spinning. I can't get into all the details, but what I will tell you is that you need to be real cautious being around my mother or my stepmother or my spiritual mother, because she be messing around in the kitchen with some stuff. You know, it might be a witch, or she got a license to carry a concealed weapon. I'm just saying. You see? Because some people cannot stand, once again, the fact that you have your own mind. You have a voice. You have a God that you are worshiping. You have your own family or your money, and they don't like the fact that you're not relying on them. They don't like the fact that you're going to pick up and go somewhere. And they're like, wait a minute, you taking my kids? Let me tell you something. My mother, R.I.P., but I told somebody the other day when we had a discussion about my former coworker and what took place in her household. And those of you all who are familiar with the story, you know that she's no longer with us, neither is her husband, and neither is her daughter. The son survived, and I'm told that her mother survived. Okay, but it got out that her mother-in-law was sitting in the car when the father on the husband's side decided to go up in the house and do what he did, okay, which was shoot everybody except for 2 of the individuals. Okay, now let me tell you something. If this was in fact a crime of passion because they had made plans to leave the state, we don't know that yet, but if it was, the question is that was there some chit-chatting going on that led to the man being so upset to want to go in there and hurt everybody. Okay? Some chit-chatting coming from his wife. People may not even realize they are feeling these things, right? Revenge, anger, and jealousy. My family is leaving. I can't believe this. You know, they better not be going out of town, taking my money or taking this or taking that or taking my grandkids. I told them, I warned them. I did everything I possibly could, but yet they still going. I was going to bring up something about my mother. So while we're having this conversation, some folks never experienced a dark side with my mother. So as far as they was concerned, she was just a wonderful person. She was sweet and she was nice. But I talked to her for years, and I was on the phone with her quite often before eventually I distanced myself and then went no contact. And when I mentioned to her about moving out of state, and at that time, the first grandson had been born. The second grandson was going to be born. I said I was going to Ohio at the time, and she had an attitude. She had a big time attitude. And when I made the announcement about moving to California, she called me out of my name, and her voice turned evil. Okay? Of course, she couldn't do nothing. You know, she wasn't one for getting on planes. And then I was already out of state, and I was on my way to another state. But I'm sure that she carried her anger and her upset in conversation with other people. Now, some folks would just look at a simple conversation and be like, it's okay, it's all right, you know, calm down, right? I mean, she got her own life. You know, talk some sense, right? You talk some sense into those relatives who's acting a little bit odd, a little bit strange. Let that child go, live her life, and we didn't have no issue. After that, she didn't call me another name, okay? But there still was something a little funky with her for years. But you wouldn't know that if you wasn't her child. And you wouldn't know that sort of thing if you weren't that one who went away. See, because they're going to show, some of these parents are going to show one side to one group and show another side to another group. Some of your relatives, right? Cousins, uncles, aunts, sisters, brothers, show one side with those people who they know they can get away with saying certain things and doing certain things, and then another side with the other group that looks all angelic and innocent, and I would never. People put things in people's heads. They know who's weak and who is more likely to go after somebody. Punch them, kick them, get physical with them, jump up in their face. So if you are that woman, for instance, that likes to keep telling your husband about everything you don't like about something, and you keep egging him on and you know that maybe he ain't wrapped too tight, or maybe he's the type that don't mind getting into altercations, things can pop off. And if you don't want somebody to end up being physically abused, worse, murdered, or in jail, it would be best just to pipe down on all of your jealousy, your anger, your rage, right? Some of you all know people like this. They're scared. They put all their fears on other people. And so you got that man or that woman who's weak-minded, who's running around talking about, yeah, that's right, you got a point. Wait a minute, let me just talk to them. And then talking ends up being crazy. Ends up being somebody murdered. Crime of passion statistics. Crime of passion statistics prove that this type of crime is more common than people may think. For instance, according to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, spouses were responsible, listen to this, spouses were responsible for 30% of all murdered females. Ex-spouses were responsible for nearly 20 fewer, and less than 10% of female victims were the victims of crimes carried out. Notice, less than 10%. Look at the numbers. Of female victims were the victims of crimes carried out by strangers, proving that crimes committed in passion comprise most of the total homicides out there. Needless to say, crime of passion statistics can be pretty unsettling. So like I said, listen to the conversations. Pay close attention to what your coworker is telling you about the mother-in-law, about the father-in-law, about the cousin, the aunt, the uncle. They keep bringing up the fact that she kept showing up at my job, or he kept showing up at the house, or she keep blowing up my phone. Well, let me see that text. What? She said all that? Honey. You need to file a police report, or you need to save all those texts in case something happened to you, or let me follow you out the door. You know, when work is over. He keeps showing up at the parking lot, and then you go over there and you file a restraining order. You see? Lord Jesus, tell me, Mother, you're sorry. When I put that book together, let me tell you, that was something that crossed my mind. It wasn't the words crime of passion. God gave me that today, Lord Jesus, and thank you. But what did come to my mind was the controlling mother. That mother that's always saying something negative, always getting somebody involved in some kind of mess that is based out of her fear, her worry, her jealousy, her anger, but she covers it up cleverly. She covers it up cleverly to draw you in so that you are the hater, so that you are the one that goes out there and does something that you have no business doing. Meanwhile, she loses and you lose too. Because you got mixed up in what grandmama said, or we got other people in the family, aunties and uncles and all of that. You got to take her out. You got to do something. You got to go over there and talk to her. You got to give her some sense, because she ain't got no sense. And I'm telling you, she just fires me up. She gets me all hot and angered about things. I'm just so tired of her. And so then you going over there thinking that you just going to say whatever and do whatever. And then you got an explosion of anger that takes place. A rage. You didn't even know that you had it in you. But you've been listening to these people saying all this negative stuff for umpteen years. And now what you going to do? You see? And sometimes people meet their matches going over somebody's house talking about they going to do something. All right. You sure? You see? I wrote Say Goodbye to Dad, a survival guide to breaking free from toxic emotional ties. And in there, once again, I brought up power and control. Your daddy wants you to do something. What do he want me to do? Well, there's a problem. A problem with your cousin. A problem with your, next thing you know, I just want to prove my love to daddy. And I also can't stand this person that gave my daddy so much grief. I'm going to go over there and do this and that. But daddy ain't got that kind of love for you. Daddy was just looking for somebody to do his bidding. We got sons in jail behind doing things that their fathers wanted. Fathers show up, haven't been in that child's life for years, but he need a favor. And sometimes things have a way of backfiring on some folk. And they turn around and they discover, you're not going to do this for me? No. Instead, I'm going to take you out. All the pain that you caused me. You see? But I want people to stay away from that thing. That thing that's on the inside of you that tells you that I got to make good on this thing. I got to plot revenge. I got to come up with something to pay this fool back. Get away from that type of mentality. It's not worth it. I know he cheated. I know she lied. I know that the family moved away. I know that there was the upset that took place the other day and you were triggered. And I know that there were times where there were those family members who just did you wrong. I know this. But it's not worth going over there. It's not worth picking up the phone. It's not worth getting some other people involved. So many people in jail cells wishing, if only, I shouldn't have. I wouldn't have even been here if I hadn't listened to that fool that was telling me all this stuff about his daughter, or listened to my ex, or listened to my husband, or listened to my wife. And some people, they try to convince themselves that what they did was good, it was right, but sometimes though, I'm telling you, no matter what you convince yourself of, at the end of the day, wrong is wrong. God's going to rescue some folks, I'm telling you right now, from this mindset, because he knows what the future holds. Some of you all, you feel convicted right now because you know what you've been thinking. You know what you've been putting in that child's mind, in that boy's mind, right? You know what you've been saying to your husband, nagging him, your wife. And some of you all, you're going to be free from this sort of thing because you see the writing on the wall now. It all makes sense. It all makes sense why you so angered about this thing and that thing, because she put that on you. He put that on you. And you got to be free from it. They want you to do something because they don't want to get their hands dirty. They want you to be the one that goes upside somebody's head, or jumps up in somebody's face, or takes from them, or comes up with some systematic plan to destroy them. Let them deal with that thing, but you draw near to the one true God. If you're under the blood covering of Jesus and you are willing to walk with him and be obedient to his word, he will protect you. While that other one that's contemplating and plotting and obsessed with, they'll be the ones that eventually gets their hands dirty, not you, Lord Jesus, not you. Lord says, I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. Give it over to the one true God. He will call on me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble, right? Somebody tempting you. But see, God says he's going to be with you in trouble and he's going to deliver you. And guess what? He's going to also honor you. With long life, I will satisfy God and show him my salvation. Because see, when you do the right thing, not only are you honoring the one true God, right? I know what the scripture says, right? But guess what? You also get the honor. Thank you so much for bringing that information to us. We will investigate. Oh, thank you so much for giving us that tip. And next thing you know, you got some money in your pocket. Or thank you so much for, just sharing that with us. We're going to be forever indebted to you because you looked out for us. Lord Jesus, with long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. God, thank you, Lord. Somebody, once again, you're free from this thing. Don't be tempted any longer to do anything to anyone because your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mother, your father, okay, your in-laws. Somebody would be above ground if it wasn't for somebody or some group or even just unresolved issues within. If they would have taken control over that passion. Thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and we do welcome giving. Blessings to you.